Hi. Today I want to walk you through a book about something we rarely pay attention to, the way we talk to ourselves, and how that quiet, constant inner dialogue is quite literally shaping our lives. I pulled out 7 key ideas from the book. But before we get into them, let's set the stage for a second. We're always doing something. Working, planning, setting goals, trying to be productive. But almost no one really stops to notice how they're speaking to themselves along the way. And that inner conversation? It plays a much bigger role in our results than most people realize. There's a long-standing debate about where consciousness actually lives, in the brain, in the heart. Pick your philosophy. But honestly, that's not the most useful question. What matters is whether you know how to work with it. And that's exactly what this is about. Learning to manage your inner dialogue and the beliefs behind it. Now, of course, there are people who will say, this is all nonsense. Just work harder. I don't agree. Because the beliefs you carry in your head directly influence your behavior, your decisions, and ultimately your outcomes. All 7 ideas in this book circle around the same core truth. It's like looking at the same painting from different angles. Step back, move closer, shift to the side. Each time you notice something new. So let's go through them. First idea, there's a phrase you've probably heard. You become what you think about. It sounds like something you'd find on a motivational poster. But when you look at it through psychology and neuroscience, it starts to feel a lot more real. Your results, good or bad, are largely shaped by how you see yourself. What you believe about yourself. And here's a slightly uncomfortable question. Who are you? Not your job title, not your role, not your status. What do you actually believe about yourself? If you dig into it, you'll notice something interesting. Most of us are made up of statements like, I'm strong. I'm insecure. Money is hard for me. I connect easily with people. In other words, we're a collection of beliefs. And we live as if they're facts. Second idea. Your brain believes what you repeat to it most often. And over time, it starts adjusting reality to match those beliefs. If someone is convinced they'll fail, they'll hesitate. They'll overthink. They'll procrastinate. And predictably, they'll get poor results. If someone believes they'll figure things out, they act differently. More decisively, more calmly, and the outcome tends to follow. Imagine a simple situation. 2 people have the same task, the same conditions, the same opportunities. One says, I can't do this. I'm just not capable. The other says, I'll figure it out as I go. Most of the time, the second person does better. Not because they're smarter or more talented, just because they're operating from a different belief. Third idea. We are in constant conversation with ourselves. Constant, sometimes out loud, but mostly in our heads. We comment on what's happening. We replay the past. We worry about the future. We argue with ourselves. We justify things. We criticize. Occasionally we support ourselves. And here's the key part. Every new thought gets checked against your existing beliefs. If it fits your current worldview, you accept it. If it doesn't, you reject it. A confident athlete, for example, who's trained for years, won't suddenly believe someone who tells them they're incapable. It just doesn't match their internal reality. But someone who sees themselves as a failure, they'll accept negative feedback almost instantly, which leads to a simple but important conclusion. We build our own internal database of beliefs, and then that database starts running the show. Fourth idea, there's a chain that explains how everything works. Beliefs, a worldview, emotions, actions, results. So if you want to change your results, starting with action alone isn't enough. You have to go deeper to the beliefs. This is where a practical tool comes in, conscious inner dialogue. You deliberately start replacing old, limiting beliefs with more useful ones. For example, someone might live their entire life thinking, I have bad genetics, nothing will work for me. And without realizing it, they'll behave in ways that confirm that belief. But at some point they might decide, yes, that was my starting point, but it doesn't define my future. I can live differently. And slowly, a new behavioral pattern begins to form. Fifth idea. The most powerful level of inner dialogue starts with the words, now I, not I want to be, not I'm trying, not maybe someday. You define a new identity. Now I am organized. Now I finish what I start. Now I take care of my health. Now I earn more. Now I speak confidently in front of people. At first it might feel a bit artificial, even uncomfortable. That's normal. The point is, you're building a new version of yourself and gradually growing into it. Of course, words alone aren't enough. Action has to follow. But words set the direction. Sixth idea. It's incredibly useful to notice your default phrases and start changing them. Instead of, I have problems at work, you say, I have challenging tasks at work and I'm handling them. I'm growing. Instead of, I'm bad with my child, you say, I'm learning to be a more patient and attentive parent. Instead of, I can't wake up early, you say, I'm gradually training myself to wake up earlier and feel better. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about stopping the habit of constantly programming yourself for failure. And it's not about changing one phrase. It's about changing as many as possible. Because your mindset is built from these small repeated thoughts. 7th idea. The main takeaway is simple. Your biggest opponent in life is usually you, not circumstances, not other people, not the economy, not the country, your beliefs. When you learn to manage your inner dialogue, you start managing your behavior. And through behavior, your results. It's one of the most valuable skills you can develop. So in the end, it comes down to a very simple choice. You can keep thinking about yourself the same way you always have. Or you can start listening to your inner voice and gradually change it. Because either way, you're talking to yourself every single day. The only question is that voice helping you or holding you back? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, I'd be really grateful if you subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel.